The lawyer slid the document across the mahogany table, and I watched my stepmom's face drain of color as she read the words. I hereby appoint my daughter, Emma Catherine Morrison, as sole executor of my estate and trustee of all holdings valued at approximately $2.4 million. Her mouth opened, then closed. 20 years ago, she'd literally cut me out of every family photograph with a pair of kitchen scissors. She'd erased me from Christmas cards, cropped me out of vacation photos, and told relatives I was from a previous chapter of my dad's life that he'd rather forget. Now, in February of 2024, I was the only one with access to the bank accounts. The lake house she'd redecorated 7 times? I controlled the deed. The investment portfolio she'd spent years planning her retirement around? Every decision went through me. She finally spoke. This has to be a mistake. Robert would never. My father, I interrupted, using the formal tone that had taken me years of therapy to perfect, was very specific about his wishes, especially the part about what happens if anyone contests this will. But how did I get here? How did a woman who spent 2 decades trying to erase my existence end up completely dependent on my signature? Let me take you back to where it started. I was 9 years old when my dad married Linda in the summer of 1997. My mom had died 3 years earlier from ovarian cancer, and honestly, I was just desperate for a family again. I remember helping Linda pick out flowers for the wedding, excited to have a mom again. The first photo incident happened 4 months later, in November 1997. Linda was assembling our annual Christmas card. She had the photos spread across the dining room table, pictures from their honeymoon in Aruba, their wedding, a few family dinners. I noticed I wasn't in any of them. Linda, what about the pictures from my birthday? I asked. We took those nice ones at the park. She didn't even look up. These are for our family Christmas cards, sweetie. I'm sending separate ones to your mom's relatives with you in them. I was 9. I didn't understand what that meant, but it felt wrong. My dad was in his office. When I told him, he sighed. I would hear that sigh 1,000 more times over the next decade, and said, Emma, Linda's just trying to make a good impression with her side of the family. Let's not make waves. Pick your battles, honey. I didn't know it then, but I'd just learned the phrase that would define my childhood. Pick your battles. By 2001, when I was 13, the Erasure had a pattern. The formal family portrait we took at JCPenney Portrait Studio, Linda ordered wallet-sized prints of the version with just her, Dad, and my half-brother Tyler, who'd been born in 1999. She ordered the version with me included only in 4x6 and kept those in a drawer. When her sister asked who I was at a family barbecue, Linda said, "Oh, that's Robert's daughter from before." Not stepdaughter, not even using my name, just from before. Dad's 45th birthday in 2003 was the wedding album incident. Linda had been working on this elaborate scrapbook of their relationship, our love story, she called it. She'd hired a professional to redesign their wedding album. I was curious, so I asked to see it. My dad and I had walked down the aisle together at their wedding. I'd held Linda's bouquet during the vows. I was in that wedding. In the new album, I'd been photoshopped out entirely. The aisle photo now showed my dad walking alone. The ceremony photo had been cropped. Even the reception photo where I danced with my dad, I was just gone. You could see a weird blurred space where I'd been standing. Linda, why am I not in any of these? She finally said the quiet part out loud. Emma, this is about our family, the family your father and I built together. You're a reminder of his past, and I need our photos to reflect our future. I was 15 years old. It took me years, and a really good therapist, to understand what was actually happening. Linda wasn't just cruel for cruelty's sake. She was deeply insecure. My dad had loved my mom profoundly. Everyone knew it. Their wedding photo, the original one with my mom, still sat on my dad's office desk. My mom had been vibrant, successful, beloved. She'd died a tragic death that made people speak about her in reverent tones. Linda was the second wife, and no matter how many photos she staged, how many times she redecorated, how perfectly she planned holidays, She couldn't erase the fact that she wasn't the first love. She wasn't the one people talked about with misty eyes. But she could erase me. The living reminder of that first marriage. Here's the thing nobody tells you about this kind of abuse. It makes you complicit in your own erasure. I started making myself smaller. When relatives visited, I'd eat dinner early and go to my room to do homework. So Linda wouldn't get that tight-lipped look. When Dad suggested family photos, I'd suddenly remember an assignment due. Junior year of high school, 2005, my soccer team went to state championships. I scored the winning goal. It was the biggest moment of my teenage life. Linda and my dad were both there. I saw Linda take photos. A week later, she posted a photo album on Facebook. Yes, Facebook was just getting big then, titled Our Family Adventures. Photos of Tyler's Little League game, where his team lost 12-3. Photos of their date night. Photos from the championship game. Of the stadium, the snack bar, everything except me. The caption on one photo, spending Saturday as a family. I'd literally won a state championship that day. I wasn't in a single photo. When I confronted her, she said, "Emma, you're so sensitive. I take plenty of pictures of you. You just don't like that the world doesn't revolve around you." And my dad? He was in the garage when this conversation happened. I know because I could hear his circular saw running. He'd perfected the art of being physically present, but strategically absent. College applications in 2006 created the first real crisis. I'd gotten into Cornell early decision, partial scholarship. I was so proud. My mom had gone to Cornell. I felt like I was honoring her somehow. At the celebratory dinner Linda organized, she made a toast. "We're so proud of our Cornell student. Robert, we raised such an accomplished daughter." We raised. Something in me snapped. "Linda, you didn't raise me. You erased me. There's a difference." The table went silent. My dad's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Tyler, then 7 years old, looked confused. Linda's voice went ice cold. "After everything we've done for you, the roof over your head, the food, the opportunities, this is the gratitude we get?" I looked at my dad, waited for him to say something. Anything. He sighed. That familiar, defeated sigh. "Emma, it's been a long day. Maybe we should all just pick our battles?" I finished for him. "Yeah, Dad, I know." I went to Cornell, and slowly, over those 4 years, I started to understand something crucial. My dad loved me. I genuinely believe that. But he loved peace more. He was conflict avoidant to a pathological degree. Every therapist I saw in my 20s confirmed it. He'd rather sacrifice my dignity, my presence, my existence in family memory, than have an uncomfortable conversation with his wife. That's not the same as not loving me. But it's not the same as protecting me either. After college, I moved to Seattle for work, tech industry, product management. I was good at it. Really good. By 2015, at age 27, I was making $140,000 a year. I came home for holidays, but something had shifted. I stopped expecting anything. I stopped wanting anything from Linda or even from Dad. Thanksgiving 2016 was the last straw. Linda had hired a professional photographer for a multi-generational family portrait. Her parents, Dad's mom, who'd always been kind to me, Tyler, everyone. The photographer kept arranging people. Okay, now just the immediate family in front. I started to step forward. Linda's hand on my shoulder, gentle but firm. "Emma, sweetie, this one is just our core family. We'll do extended family next." I looked at my grandmother, my dad's mom. She looked horrified. She opened her mouth to object. I shook my head at her. It was okay. I was done fighting to be seen by people who'd decided I was invisible. I went for a walk instead. When I came back, they'd all gone to dinner without me. There was a plate of leftovers in the fridge with a sticky note. "Didn't want to interrupt your walk. L." I flew back to Seattle the next morning. Didn't even say goodbye. Between 2016 and 2022, I went home twice, both times for my grandmother's birthday. I was polite, distant. I'd built a life in Seattle that Linda couldn't erase because she wasn't in it. I got promoted to senior director, bought a condo with a view of Puget Sound, found a partner, Marcus, who thought the idea of erasing someone from photos was psychotic, built a chosen family of friends who actually showed up. My dad and I talked on the phone every few weeks, surface level stuff. He'd ask about work, I'd ask about his garden. We never talked about Linda. We never talked about the photos. But in July 2022, those calls started changing. Emma, I need to tell you something. I've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 3. I flew home within 48 hours. The thing about terminal illness is that it clarifies things. Suddenly, all the petty battles seem stupid. I wasn't there to fight with Linda. I was there for my dad. Over the next 18 months, I flew home every 6 weeks. I went to doctor appointments. I helped research treatment options. I sat with him during chemo infusions while Linda was too emotionally overwhelmed to handle hospitals. And during those long hours in oncology waiting rooms, my dad and I finally talked. I failed you, he said in November 2022, during hour 3 of a chemotherapy session. I chose comfort over courage. I let Linda erase you because it was easier than standing up to her. I'd waited 25 years to hear that, and now that I had, I felt tired, just tired. Yeah, Dad, you did. I'm trying to make it right. I've been working with my lawyer. He didn't elaborate. But in February 2023, he had me meet with his estate attorney. Just the two of us. Emma, I'm appointing you as executor of my estate. Sole executor. Your stepmom will receive her legal entitlements as a spouse, but all decisions go through you. I'm also establishing a trust for Tyler's education that you'll manage. Dad, this is going to cause World War III. I know, but I spent your childhood avoiding conflict. I'm not spending my death doing the same thing. You're the person I trust. You're the person I should have protected. Too little? Too late? Maybe. But it was something. My dad died on January 28th, 2024, age 66, way too young. The funeral was February 3rd. Linda orchestrated every detail, flowers, music, photo displays. The memorial table had dozens of photos. I wasn't in a single one. Even at his funeral, I'd been erased. But I didn't say anything, because I knew what was coming. The will reading was February 15th, 2024, which brings us back to where we started. Linda had assumed she'd inherit everything outright. In her mind, the estate was hers, the reward for taking care of Dad, for building their family, for all those years. The lawyer read the will. Linda as beneficiary of specific assets, the house, Dad's life insurance policy, $350,000, his retirement accounts. All legal, all appropriate for a surviving spouse. But then, executor and trustee of the entire estate? Me. That meant I controlled the sale of the lake house, $680,000 property, Dad's investment portfolio, $1.1 million, the family business Dad had built, $400,000 value, Tyler's education trust, $200,000, all decisions about liquidation, distribution, and timing. Linda would get what the law entitled her to, but she couldn't make a single financial decision without my approval. After the lawyer's office, Linda followed me to my rental car. You poisoned him against me. All those hospital visits, you manipulated a dying man. I took a breath. Years of therapy had prepared me for this. Linda, I didn't poison him. I just showed up, consistently, which is more than you did when things got uncomfortable. I loved him. I know you did, in your way, but love isn't erasing people. Love isn't rewriting history. Love isn't making people choose between peace and truth. I unlocked my car. You'll get everything you're legally entitled to. I'll execute this estate fairly and by the book. But you will never, ever erase me again, from his memory, from his legacy, or from this family's story. Over the next 4 months, I executed the estate exactly as Dad specified. Sold the lake house, $680,000, split according to will. Liquidated the business, $400,000, distributed to beneficiaries. Managed the investment portfolio. Set up Tyler's education trust. He was 18, starting college. Kid didn't deserve to suffer for his mom's actions. Linda got her inheritance. About $890,000 when all was said and done, plus the primary residence. She was financially secure, but every check, every distribution, every decision had my signature on it. Here's the thing I didn't expect. Closure doesn't always look like vindication. I found a box in Dad's office while clearing out his things, photos, hundreds of them. Every school play, every soccer game, every Christmas morning. Pictures of me and my mom, pictures of just me and him. He'd kept them all. Hidden, but kept. There was a note, dated December 2023, a month before he died. Emma, I was too weak to display these while I was alive. I'm sorry. Make sure Tyler knows his sister's story. Make sure you're not erased. Dad, I created a photo album for Tyler. Half the photos were his mom's perfect curated family memories. The other half were the hidden photos, me, Dad, our history, the full story. I gave it to him before he left for college. You had a sister who was there long before your mom tried to erase her, I told him. You don't have to choose sides, but you deserve to know the truth, Tyler cried. Then he asked if we could get coffee sometime. We did. We still do, every few months. It's been 8 months since Dad died. Linda and I don't speak except through lawyers when estate business requires it. I'm okay with that. The executor role will end once the estate is fully settled, probably another 4 months. Then I'll go back to my life in Seattle, to Marcus, to my career, to the family I chose. But I learned something through all of this. You can't force people to see you. You can't make them choose you. You can't control how others write their stories, but you can refuse to disappear. You can show up for yourself the way you wish others had shown up for you. And sometimes, years later, you get to hold the pen when the final chapter is written. So let me ask you, have you ever been erased from your own family story? Have you ever watched someone rewrite history and pretend you didn't exist? Drop your story in the comments, and if you're going through something like this right now, I see you. You're not invisible. You never were. Next week, I'm telling you about the woman who discovered her husband had a second family and how she used their shared taxes to expose everything. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can't erase someone who refuses to disappear.